If you hear mysterious noises and sounds, if you hear your name called when there's no one around, keep going, dear listener. This story is for you. I hope it will accomplish what I wrote it to do. In these words, you will find all the tools you'll need, so that when you're faced with unimaginable things, you won't react with fear, as most people do. You'll be equipped, calm, and able to see the truth. My best, Hedy. This is What We Keep Hidden. By Nicole. Chapter 14. Attic. Answer me this, kiddo, Betty asked on the porch one day. I said through a mouthful of lemon bars, crumbs spilling out of my mouth. How many people did it take to get that big house of yours ready before you moved in? I can only imagine the amount of work that old place needed. If it's anything like mine, it's been a never-ending list of repairs. No, just us three. 4 if you count Lucy. I took another bite. What do you mean? You all did that on your own? Betty asked, stunned. Yeah, that's why we couldn't move in for a while. I helped with the flooring. Me and Mr. Dad tackled the wiring. Then he and Mrs. Mommy did the drywall. Have you ever seen knob and tube wiring? It's absolutely ridiculous. That place was a match ready to start a fire. Ha ha! Betty laughed before answering. Have I seen it? Child, I still have remnants of it up in my attic. Oh no, you do? That's not safe, Betty. I whined a bit too enthusiastically as drops of spittle and crumbs pelted Humphrey's face, who happened to be sitting in Betty's lap. With a look of pure annoyance, he shook the crumbs from his whiskers and jumped off her lap with a pout. Disconnected, of course. I had that done decades ago. Oh. In that case, do you mind if I have a look? You're an odd child, aren't you? Getting excited about things like that, Betty said, shaking her head with a smirk. You certainly take after your namesake. I love it. Well, come on then. Let's go have a look. Brimming with excitement, I followed her to the stairs. I only paused a moment in front of that weird little door underneath the stairs, inspecting it for any signs of movement. The stairs creaked and moaned overhead with the distribution of Betty's weight. Come on, slowpoke, she shouted above me. Right behind you, I said as I went to catch up with her. On the second floor, I caught up to Betty at the door to the attic stairs. Her age was incredibly misleading for how agile she was. She moved as quick as a fox. There you are. Lend me some muscle, will ya? I haven't opened this door for a while. As I got closer, I could see that Betty had only gotten the door to budge a few inches. I leaned into it with my shoulder and pushed with all my might. It objected as I slowly coaxed it open. Ah, yes, very good. Betty clapped her hands while brushing past me and making her way swiftly up the stairs. You know, Betty, I said, following after her, you're in really good shape. A little out of breath myself. Stairs, kid. It's all about the stairs. Now hurry up. It's hot up here. At the top, I was met with everything you would expect an old attic to be. Slanted wooden beams adorning bare, unfinished walls. Cobwebs accenting corners like frosted petals on a cake. And dozens of cardboard boxes. Wow, I said, shocked at the sheer number of towering stacks of cardboard, more than anything else. Ah, I know. Great, isn't it? I was hoping to turn this space into... Darn it! Betty had stubbed her toe in a box that was pushed out further than the ones above it. Stupid Derek never got Betty threw every curse word she knew at the corner of that box, along with a few kicks for good measure. Sighing, she paused, took a deep breath, then looked over towards me. This, she gestured to the stacks around her, is why I don't come up here much anymore. Except to grab a spare light bulb. These darn things, she explained, hitting the box in front of her. They're just too heavy to move by myself. Well, that's not safe, I said. You know, I can help you move some of this stuff around you if you tell me what's important and needs to be closer to the stairs. Like the light bulbs, that should be up towards the entrance. Absolutely not. You'll hurt yourself. Betty, what does this box weigh? I effortlessly picked up one of the many boxes. A few pounds? 5 at the most. I'll be fine. Of course, it would mean more time with you and more snacks. Betty pursed her lips for a moment and thought. Fine. You have yourself a deal. Come on, I chuckled. Let me at least clear a walkway. All right, but just for a moment. It's hot. I spotted an old chair turned upside down on a pile to my left and made my way over. Turning it right side up and dusting off with my sleeve a bit, I gestured for Betty to sit. She obliged, and I moved one of the boxes in the way in front of her so she could take a look inside it. I grabbed the next box and opened it up to inspect the contents myself. Some Band-Aids, old tubes of antiseptic cream, and a broken thermometer. All things that might have been useful if they weren't expired. I kept digging and found a small, cold metal object hidden at the bottom. I brought it closer and saw it was the back of a miniature, ornate frame. The glass was caked with dust, making it impossible to see what was saved underneath. Cautiously, I lightly scratched the surface of the glass with my fingernail until the film started wearing away. There he was, smiling up at me, the boy in the sailor costume. I looked over my shoulder and saw Betty was still occupied with the contents of her box. I quietly unhooked the back of the frame, and the picture silently slid out from the cardboard backing and fell upside down on the floor. Faint markings could be made out on the back. I gently picked it up, trying not to get any fingerprints on the delicate sepia-toned print. Jimmy, first day, second grade, 1934. 1934? What was that? Betty asked. I jumped, almost dropping the glass and the frame, but I caught them, midair. Oh, just some expired stuff, I blurted out as I hastily put the picture back in the frame. Bound to be some of that in this dusty old place, Betty chuckled. You can just put that in a pile. We'll take it down later to throw out. You got it, I answered. But do you think I could keep some of it? Some things are really cool. Take whatever you want, child. I have no use for it. Thanks. My heartbeat pounded in my ears as my stomach jumped up into my throat. The racing beats matched the intensity of my racing thoughts. How on earth could I have seen the kid in the photo just a few days before? I took a slow breath in. Everything's explainable, I reminded myself. Nothing is without cause in this world. Without the reasoning behind it, I would remain terrified of this house and its contents. No, I thought, I have to make sure Betty's safe. If something strange was happening here, I had to get to the bottom of it and find out the reason. Maybe this is a clue to why she acts so odd at the mention of Jimmy. Once I find out who he is, maybe that would help her, so she can live peacefully, without torment. I had so many questions, and this photo was about to unlock all of the answers. Everything has an explanation, and I was going to uncover it, for Betty. Later that night, as soon as I got home, I went straight to my room and took out my notebook. I wrote down every instance of Betty mentioning Jimmy that I could think of. I took out the photo I had taken. Of course, I would return it in the morning. So tonight, I had to copy down as much of it as I could in my observation notebook. If my theory was correct, and the house was on an anomaly, sitting on an electromagnetic field, that could bring about enough fluctuations to cause visions, hallucinations, maybe some kind of holographic impression created by a memory. Whether that memory belonged to Betty or the house was yet to be determined. Had I seen another photo of this Jimmy in the house without realizing it? Had it helped this vision materialize under just the right conditions? Come to think of it, I don't remember seeing any photographs in Betty's house. At all. It's quite strange, actually.
Hey there, it's Hedy. Do you want to join our H&B secret society? I might even be able to convince Betty to share her famous butterfly PT recipe with you. We'll see about that. For now, head on over to laurennicole.art/stories to see how you can get your official member badge. See you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of What We Keep Hidden. Tune in next time to see what Hedy and Lucy get into next. What We Keep Hidden is written, narrated, and produced by Lauren Nicole. This has been a Lauren Nicole creation.